The shot that started World War I and killed 20 million people was fired by a man who thought the mission had already failed and had stopped to buy a sandwich. It was Sunday morning, June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo. The streets were lined with people waiting to see the Austro-Hungarian heir to the throne. 7 assassins were positioned along the motorcade route, all of them members of Young Bosnia, a loose Serbian nationalist movement, all of them armed, briefed, and ready. The first attempt came early. A conspirator named Nedeljko Čabrinović threw a bomb at the Archduke's open-topped car. It struck the car, deflected by the roof or the chauffeur's sudden acceleration, and exploded under the vehicle behind. 2 officers were injured. The motorcade accelerated. Gavrilo Princip, 19 years old and positioned further along the route, heard the explosion. He concluded what any reasonable person would have concluded. The mission was blown. Security would be everywhere. The Archduke was gone. He stepped away from his post and walked into a nearby delicatessen, Schiller's, near the Latin Bridge, most likely to buy something to eat. This is where recorded history gets almost unbearable in its specificity. Franz Ferdinand, shaken but alive, continued to City Hall for a scheduled reception. He was furious. He reportedly snapped at the mayor mid-welcome speech. "I came here on a visit and I get bombs thrown at me." The reception continued anyway. Afterward, his security team debated. The Archduke wanted to visit the officers injured in the bombing. They were already at the hospital. A revised route was agreed upon. His driver, Franz Urban, was told to take Franz Joseph Street rather than the original path. Nobody told Urban clearly enough. The motorcade left City Hall. Urban turned onto the original route, the one lined with conspirators, the one that was supposed to be abandoned. A senior official in the lead car realized the error and called for a stop. Urban braked. He began to reverse. The engine stalled. Nobody told Loika clearly enough. The motorcade left City Hall. Loika turned onto the original route, the one lined with conspirators, the one that was supposed to be abandoned. A senior official in the lead car realized the error and called for a stop. Loika braked. He began to reverse. The engine stalled. The car sat motionless for several seconds, long enough, directly in front of Schiller's delicatessen on Franz Joseph Street, roughly 5 feet from where Gavrilo Princip was standing. Princip drew his pistol. He fired twice. The first shot struck Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, in the abdomen. The second struck Franz Ferdinand in the jugular vein. Both were dead within the hour. Princip was seized immediately by the crowd. The chain of events that followed has been analyzed by historians for over a century. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia so punishing it was designed to be rejected. It was. Austria declared war on July 28th. Russia mobilized in support of Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia on August 1st. France was drawn in by treaty. Germany invaded Belgium to reach France, pulling Britain into the conflict. In 37 days, the major powers of Europe were at war. By the time it ended in November 1918, roughly 20 million people were dead, soldiers and civilians both. Somewhere between 50 and 100 million more would die in the influenza pandemic, a catastrophe the war had helped carry across the world. The treaties that ended the conflict created the instability that produced the Second World War, which killed a further 70 to 85 million. The arithmetic of that wrong turn is almost impossible to hold in your mind. There is a version of this story that treats the assassination as merely the trigger, the spark that found a room full of gunpowder. And that version is not wrong. Europe in 1914 was a system under strain. Alliance networks, imperial competition, nationalist pressure, military timetables built on assumptions of preemptive speed, all of it existed before June 28th. But the contingency matters. Austria-Hungary's decision to go to war required a provocation. The heir to the throne, murdered in public, was that provocation in a way that a failed assassination attempt was not. A bomb that bounced and wounded 2 officers was an embarrassment. 2 bodies in a car was a casus belli. If Lojka takes the right turn, the motorcade continues. Franz Ferdinand lives. The moment passes. Princip himself understood what had happened. At trial, he reportedly said he had not intended to kill Sophie. She was not the target. The second shot, by most reconstructions, was fired in the chaos of a stalled car, at close range, without clear, deliberate aim. He had not planned for this outcome. He had not planned to be standing on that corner at that moment. The mission, as far as he knew, was over. What June 28, 1914 reveals is not that great events have small causes, though sometimes they do. It reveals something more precise, that systems under pressure do not need a large trigger. They need only a sufficient one. The wrong turn did not create the conditions for World War I. It satisfied them. A stalled engine, a man who had given up, 5 feet of pavement, and the century cracked open. Not because anyone planned it that way, because no one did. If this episode made you think differently, subscribe. New episodes every week. And if you want to go deeper, there's more waiting for you.